Hello and welcome to this wonderful state of Karnataka. We feel so proud being here. Coming from North India, it is a huge change. First, you land at a magnificent airport. I frankly feel it's one of the finest airports anywhere in the world. Definitely the best airport in India. And then the drive into Bangalore is wonderful. Either side you see establishments that remind you that this is almost a developed country. Karnataka is really one of the richest states of India. In fact, if you look at the data, Karnataka's per capita income is over 3 lakhs a year. That is 4 times higher than the per capita income of Uttar Pradesh and 6 times higher than the per capita income of Bihar, which is just over 54,000 rupees a year. What a big difference. But this year, Karnataka has faced a bit of trouble. There's been a terrible drought. Many people say the worst drought in living memory. And we went out into the fields to see how tough life is for farmers. And it genuinely is a very, very troublesome time for them. ನಮಸ್ತೆ ನಮಸ್ತೆ
ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ.
ಅಮ್ಮ ಇವಾಗ ಗುಡ್ಡ ಬೇಡ ಏನು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಮಳೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದಾಗಿದೆಯೋ ಇಲ್ಲ ಈ ಸಲ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ವಾ?
ಮಳೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ. ಮಳೆ ಇಲ್ದೇ ಇರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನೋಡಿ ಹಿಂಗ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಐತೆ ಎಲ್ಲ.
ರೇಷನ್
5 ಕೆಜಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. 5 ಕೆಜಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ.
ಏನಾರು ಹೇಳಂಗಿದ್ರೆ ಹೇಳ್ರಿ.
ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಸ್ವಾಮಿ? ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ? ಮಳೆ ಬೀಳ್ತಾನೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇನ್ನು ಹೊಲ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬೆಳೆ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಕವಳ ತಿನ್ಬೇಕು. 5 ಕೆಜಿ ಅಕ್ಕಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೆ. ಆಗಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಗೆ. ಅಂಗಡಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಕೊಂಡ್ಕೊಳಕ 8,000 ಹಂಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. 800, 900, 1000 ಹಿಂಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. 300 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೂಲಿ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವ್ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಕೊಂಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ತಿನ್ನೋದು?
ರೇಷನ್ ಅಕ್ಕಿ
ರೇಷನ್ ಕಾರ್ಡೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಕಾರ್ಡೇ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಫುಡ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗಿವನ್ ಸರ್.
ಫುಡ್ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಗಿವ್ ದ ರೈಸ್. ರೇಷನ್
ರೇಷನ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ರೈನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಣಗೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೈತೆ ನೋಡಿ ಬಿಸಿಲಿಗೆಲ್ಲ. ಡ್ರೈ ಆಗೋಗೈತೆ.
For the drought, for the crops, they given any money to us?
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಒಣಗೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಹಣ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ?
ಇವಾಗ ಏನೂ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ, ಇನ್ನೂ ಏನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಯಾರಿಗೂ.
Just a little aside, many of those women farmers told us that in fact they were paid to vote by both parties, 500 rupees or 400 rupees. Just listen to what they had to say. In this area, who are people voting for, Congress or BJP?
ಯಾವ್ದು ಬರ್ತೈತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲ್ಲ.
Did she get money to vote? Ask her.
ನಿಮಗೆ ವೋಟ್ಗೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ, ವೋಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ
ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ.
500
500
From which party? Ask her.
ಯಾರು 500 ರುಪೀಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು? ಯಾರು 500 ರುಪೀಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು? 500 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ
ಇವರು ಬಿಜೆಪಿ ಅವರು.
Congress gave 500 rupees
Per person.
for one person. How many? BJP gave 400.
1%.
ಯಾರು ಓಟ್ ಗೀಟ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಗಿಡ್ ಏನಾರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರಾ?
500
ಸರ್ 500 rupees.
500 to vote. BJP or Congress or both?
ಯಾರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರಮ್ಮ? ಯಾರು?
ಬಿಜೆಪಿ.
BJP 500. Congress? Huh?
ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ 400, ಬಿಜೆಪಿ 500. ಒಬ್ರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು, ಒಬ್ರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
In fact, this year's drought has become a major political issue in this election because the Congress government here says that the centre is not paying them their due. In fact, they went to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court ordered the central government to pay 18,000 crores, but according to the Congress, they've only received 4,000 crores. So they've been having protests everywhere, and in fact there's an element of federalism. Karnataka for Kannadigas, while the centre is not bothered about Karnataka. So we asked the Chief Minister, Siddaramaiah, what is the real problem here?
Sir, thank you for sparing this time for us. Discrimination by the centre against Karnataka. Is that very strong discrimination, centre state?
See, out of 240 talukas, we have declared drought-stricken talukas as 223 talukas. 223 talukas out of 240 talukas. About 48,000 hectares of land, we lost the crop. Farmers lost the crop. And it is more than 35,000 crores. The crop lost is there. And we have asked Government of India, according to norms of the NDRF, 18,172 crores. And we have submitted a memorandum in the month of September. And still, I have sent 3 ministers to meet the concerned ministers and to explain the drought situation in Karnataka. They did not respond. And lastly, I myself went and met the Prime Minister on December 19th. I met Amit Shah on December 20th. December 20th, next day.
How many times back and forth?
3 ministers met the concerned ministers.
Right.
And they did not respond. And I myself went and met Prime Minister on December 19th.
Right. But people are suffering here. There's a drought here.
Severe drought.
And they're not giving you the money. Why?
I don't know, because the Narendra Modi's government at the center, they are showing, they are doing hate politics towards Karnataka, towards Congress party. And stepmotherly attitude they have shown towards Karnataka. And we approached the court. It is inevitable for us to approach the court in a federal structure. See, the government, it is the duty of the government of India to give wherever flood is there, wherever there is a drought.
Any disaster.
Not only to Karnataka, in the entire country, they have to do it. But so far they have not released it. After 7 months of our memorandum submitted, after 7 months they did not. So we approached the Supreme Court. Supreme Court told that in a federal structure we should not do like this. And they directed the government of India to settle it. They did not settle it. Again they took 1 week time and they have given 3,454 rupees.
Instead of 18,000.
Out of 18,000,
Got 3,000.
oh, it is 19% of the amount we have asked. According to the norms of the NDRF, it's not the total loss that we have asked. Total loss would be more than 35,000 crores.
Only half that.
Not even half of
So what do the people say are feeling against this? That they are suffering and they're not getting the money from the center. What do they say in Kannada?
See, ದ್ವೇಷದ ರಾಜಕಾರಣ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಬಿಜೆಪಿ ಅವರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಜನ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಕೊತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ದ್ವೇಷದ ರಾಜಕಾರಣ, hate politics.
We also asked the former Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. R. Ashoka, why isn't the centre giving the state more money, especially since the Supreme Court has ordered it? How are you counteracting this one problem of Karnataka that has faced a drought, people are suffering, and they asked for 18,000 crores, nothing was paid, then they went to the Supreme Court and Supreme Court said pay because people are suffering, and you have only paid 4,000 out of the 18,000, not even 4, just under 4. How are you countering that issue in the campaign?
I think Congress people is giving the propaganda, false propaganda. Actually, I am the revenue minister, last regime, 4 years. Means revenue minister means all the drought, flood, everything coming under me. I know everything pin to pin. So that is a NDRF and the STRF rules is there. NDRF means national government will give. STRF also 75% of the amount they will give. Already they given 700 crores for the state. Quarterly, they got given the Karnataka state. And now they are releasing more than 454 crores. That's the NDR rules. For the crop, they fixed this almost all 7,000, approximately 7,000 per hectare. They given. By rule only they get given this is the amount. I think in the history of the Karnataka, this is the highest amount given by the central government.
Not for that, for the drought, because Supreme Court has said 18,000 crores and you've only given 3,900, not 18,000. So there's still 14,000 crores left for the drought. I agree, I'm not talking about the other thing. Farmers are saying that we are losing out because it's center state problem. How are you countering it?
I think once again I will go back to that.
Yeah.
So last time Manmohan Singh government, 10 years. Amara government bhi tha, Yadiyurappa government. 10 years we requested 44,000 crores for the entire 10 years. We requested the central government for NDRF. So what they given? 3,500 crores they given. What we asked? 44,000. What they given? 3,500 crores. Now they are asking the Modi government, I given the percentage also. Manmohan Singh government for the Karnataka below the 5%. What they given, what Modi government given, more than 50% Modi government given the drought and the flood. That is the speciality of the Modi.
How is 4,000 50% of 18,000, because that's not even 25%. So you're saying you're as good or as bad as Manmohan government, same.
No. More than Manmohan Singh. 4 times what given 10 years in Manmohan Singh, Modi government given 4 to 5 times extra.
So this figure is wrong, 3,900 crores what you have given. And the Supreme Court said give 18,000 crores.
No. In the court, yeah, I am quoting Supreme Court also. Immediately, whatever the rules you release. In the state government, there is no role. I think Nirmala Sitaram, before they are going to court, they requested the election commission. Please allow me to give the drought to Karnataka, not even Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Assam. They requested. The election commissioner given the permission, we given. That we told in the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court. That is not the pressure of Karnataka government. Natural process. They are given central government. I appreciate Modi ji. They given last 10 years the highest amount drought and flood for Karnataka, highest amount given by the central government. I will appreciate the Modi government.
So Dora, what is the basis of this center-state conflict? Is it justified? Did the Congress also do it? What's the bottom line?
All states that are rich always have a complaint against the center that they are not getting enough money back because they contribute more than they get back. Then there is the little story of should it be 12,000 crores, 14,000 crores, 10,000 crores. But the southern states, because the traditional non-BJP ruled, have a greater grouse towards the northern government, and also the fact the northern states benefit more while contributing less. So this is a political thing that's been going on for many years, decades actually.
Although, Baj, we have seen federalism developing stronger and stronger in India. In fact, the regional parties are doing much better than other parties. Is there element of federalism or sub-nationalism or whatever you like to call it in this whole protest?
Here they had a protest in about shop signs saying all shops must carry the shop sign in the local language. So I think there is a drive towards saying that, we are local, we are Karnatakas, we want our state. And I think they said that, we are the second largest taxpayer in the country and we are down at the bottom when it comes to receiving money from the center. Tamil Nadu has said the same thing. So I think there is a big issue certainly in the south.
Maya, it's great to have you. Thank you for taking time off and coming here because you've covered elections for
1989.
Since you were 5 years old?
Four.
Yeah, four. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Exaggerate. So tell me, it is quite an important issue because people are suffering and then it's being linked to center-state relations.
Absolutely, yes. It's often repeated that Karnataka is giving so much to the centre, receiving so little back, and that has really been a strong pitch of the Congress. They started, of course, with the Chief Minister himself going to Delhi and having that protest in the capital. So it is definitely one of the pitches of the Congress that the BJP government at the centre doesn't care for Karnataka, doesn't care for Kannadigas, and that one of the ways this is demonstrated is the fact that so little of the tax which is being paid is coming back to Karnataka.
Is it striking a chord with the voters that they feel Karnataka is being slightly discriminated against?
Well, probably among the middle class voters, because of course quite a lot of Karnataka did vote for the Congress last year itself in the assembly election, so it is resonating with them for sure. I'm not sure if at the level of the women in the field you talk to, whether they would it would really vibe with them, but certainly the middle class voters are questioning that.
I think the anti-centre feeling is also because for 3 or 4 decades the Kaveri River problem hasn't been solved, and Karnataka feels it's been done in. Awards have been made, not been kept. So I think it all builds up together to a sort of anti-central, not just anti-BJP, but anti-centre resentment that we aren't getting a fair shake.
You mentioned that the Congress did reasonably well in the 2023 assembly elections. And that is a huge change. Just look at what has happened to the Congress over time. The Congress, in fact, dominated Karnataka for 50 years until around 2000, 2004. Just look at how many seats they used to win, between 20 and 25 seats every year for 50 years, give or take 1 or 2 years. Then suddenly in 2004, it dropped from 20 down to 8 seats. And then in 2019, it dropped to just 1 seat. Now that is almost the elimination of the Congress, or so you would think. And that's actually countered by a massive upsurge of the BJP. Just look at it, it was nowhere in this state for 50 years. Then in 2004, it went from 6 to 8 seats up to 18 seats. And then in 2019, up to 25 seats. A complete turnaround. But then what happened after that? Between 2019 and 2023, as Maya was just mentioning, a huge change, a scissor effect. The BJP sudden decline in 2 years, and the Congress sharp rise from 2019 to 2023. The BJP fell from a vote percentage of 51% down to 36%. That's a huge drop. And the Congress went up. Its vote went from 32% to 42%. So now it was closest election, 2023 assembly elections, Congress was 42% and the BJP 36%. And actually if you convert that into seats, it's also a very, very telling story. There's been a big change in 2019 to 2023. If you look at 2023 convert assembly into Lok Sabha seats, it's approximately 7 to 8 assembly seats per Lok Sabha. The BJP dropped from 25 seats to 8 seats, and the Congress went from 1 seat to 18 seats, and the JDS from 1 to 2 seats. That's again a huge change. So what happens if assembly elections you did well? This is a Lok Sabha election. Is there any relevance? Well, as we've seen before, and you can see it in our snippets, assembly elections are very good predictors of what's going to happen in the next Lok Sabha election. That's historically true. We've checked all the data. 80% of the time, the same party that won the assembly election wins the Lok Sabha or gets the largest number of seats in that state in the Lok Sabha. 80% of the time. In fact, very often it goes up a bit. So assembly elections are very good predictors of what's going to happen in the next Lok Sabha election. But with one proviso, as long as the next Lok Sabha election is within a year of the assembly election. And that is just about the case in Karnataka. So assembly elections better forecasters than you pollsters?
Not always, but very often, yes. Yes, very often, yes.
You're admitting defeat?
Which is historically, I mean, this is historical data, so there is no question debating it.
So you feel that the fact that the Congress suddenly went up in the assembly elections has made a huge turnaround in this election or not?
I think it suddenly went up. The Congress in assembly elections got around 37, 38, 39% for years, and the BJP 4 or 5% less. Then the alliances take place and governments get formed. This time the Congress crossed 40% barrier to 42. So the gap between the two parties became from 3 or 4% to 6%. That is what led to this enormous victory of the Congress in the 2023 Vidhan Sabha election.
And it's not just a sudden change with this assembly election. There were some indicators before that with the panchayat elections and the town municipal elections. Just look at what happened in 20 and 21 after the 2019 Lok Sabha election. The Congress rise since 2019 also happened in local body elections, which not too many people actually follow. In fact, the Congress got 42% of the seats in these 2 years, while the BJP got only 36% of the seats. So, Baj, there was already an indicator that the Congress was coming back a bit after really almost being wiped out of Karnataka, if one followed the municipal elections closely.
Yeah, and I think the BJP realized that after this election. I mean, the fact that they went and tied up with JDS and JDS was willing to join them in this, being a secular party, I think both of them realized that they are not going to be, BJP is not going to be able to repeat its performance last time just by itself. They needed JDS, and they admit the fact that they were down in 5 districts in the south.
So Maya, why this big change? In the sense that the BJP was riding high, sailing along, and suddenly things have changed. Why?
I think that ahead of the Congress, the assembly election, I think the Congress guarantees, the promises which they made did strike a chord among the electorate, the promises which most of which have been implemented. I think that was a very popular move for the voters. I think they really appreciated that. Plus also the Karnataka does sometimes tend to go against the sentiment around the country. We very rarely have the advantage, if it is an advantage, of a double engine government. Often the state government is a different party than the central government.
Right.
So we do it differently here. That's
Right.
also one of the reasons.
Very smart to keep one keeping a check on the other, right? Especially if it's a Kannadiga party. So I actually put this very question that Maya's raised to D.K. Shivakumar, the Deputy Chief Minister, and who many say is the man of action in the Congress party.
So one of the things which you are being very strong about this time, and it is having an impact, and it's one of your strategies, you could explain it to us, and that is federalism is part of the constitution. You just said Karnataka so strongly. You feel that Karnataka for Karnataka. Do the people feel that the BJP is over-centralizing and that Karnataka is losing out? And if so, how is Karnataka losing out in this over-centralization?
See, of course, they are a very strong government. They are a good number year after making the operation Lotus here. In Central also they are a good strong government. Not even a single day, the members of the parliament in either Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha opened their mouth to protect Karnataka. Either none of them had met the Prime Minister or the Finance Minister to represent the problem of Karnataka. None of them stood behind the issues of either it is a water or a land dispute or whatever the dispute rising. The Honorable Chief Minister, Mr. Bommai, himself on the Assembly came on record. Yes, let us all join together to fight out it is a very situation. So that is why Mr. Suresh took up in the Parliament after this budget, and he said that undue share has not been given. We are the second largest taxpayer of this country after Maharashtra. We are getting only 13%. Rest is going to 9%. Okay, fine. Some strategy has been fixed, but we are demanding for our rights, our tax, our right. And ultimately, even whatever the promises was been done in the budgets, those budget means the Prime Minister himself and the entire political system has signed. They could not release the money for irrigation or for the development of Bangalore.
You're saying centers being
Yes.
discriminating against Karnataka.
Yes. That is why we lost.
Federalism is part of the constitution, you feel?
Yes, that is why we lost. In this drought, we had to go to the Delhi, we had to go to the court, we took all our MLAs to Delhi, we fought, we made a dharan, then fought again, they did not, Prime Minister, we requested for a meeting, then he could not, he fixed up a meeting with the Home Minister did not do, then we had to go to the court asked why this is. Then yesterday or today, they have come out that they are releasing some 20% of whatever we have asked.
And there was some element of this also among the people that we spoke to around the towns and cities.
Ramadhi is not included here. The Congress is based on whatever they given in policies here. They are already making suddenly one by one stopping them. They given so many schemes, but not applying everything. Someone is getting, someone is not getting. So that is the way. I think maybe Karnataka become mindset is like okay, state government is Congress and central is BJP, like that.
Political look in India is completely different now, because compared to South India, North India, it's completely different now. Because if you see, entire North was supporting Modi. Entire South is completely opposite now. If you see the wave also, entire South going to the political parties in the regional parties now. All the parties. If you see Andhra with the TDP, Jagnish allowed down. In Telangana, KCR is down. If you see in Tamil Nadu also, DMK, ADI, DMK only. They are going to get the seats. Modi is not going to get the 400 seats and all. He is going to max around 200 or 230 only.
At least, Modi has done it 10 years. Let us give a chance to the UPA government as well, India Gathbandhan. Let us, we hope, lot of stalwarts are there. So, in India Gathbandhan. So, we're looking forward to have in presence of Rahul Gandhi, he's already done this Padayatra. So, Prajadwani is done. We are looking forward to what is this idea. Change is definitely required for India this time.
I think that's more influential in the north. For that entire Ayodhya thing, I wouldn't mind visiting it. Like, it's definitely something that, is a part of our history, but it's not something that my life revolves on.
Karnataka people believes only on the what they are giving to the people, like 5 freebies. I don't think freebies work around the world. Only in Karnataka people are believing in it.
Ladies के पास लेते हैं मुफ्त है ना ladies के लिए तो.
लेडीज का फ्री है ये अच्छा नहीं, देश का इम्प्रूवमेंट करना.
तो कैसे करना बताइए, क्या करना चाहिए?
आपको पता है स्ट्रिक्ट का करना.
क्या?
स्ट्रिक्ट का करना.
स्ट्रिक्ट करना.
काम स्ट्रिक्ट का करना.
ये इलेक्शन तो दिल्ली का है, कर्नाटका का नहीं है.
हाँ, MP.
ये तो MP का है.
तो उधर राहुल गांधी आने के लिए वोट दिया. हमारे लिए सेफ्टी होना चाहिए, बेनिफिट होना चाहिए, उसी के लिए हम MP चुनते ना.
Now, as Bajpai mentioned, the JDS has tied up with the BJP this time. And it is a bit of a surprise, and we'll be asking R. Ashoka why they did that. But first, just look at what's happened to the JDS in recent years. After being fairly consistently strong, are they now fading away? Between 2000 and 2019, the JDS vote has dropped from 20% down to half that, 10%. And in the assembly, it's dropped from 20% to 13%. A huge drop. In fact, Baj asked R. Ashoka, the former Deputy Chief Minister, why have they tied up with a party like the JDS when it's fading away? And his answer was very interesting.
Last time you swept the state. Why did you need Devi Gowda this time? It means that you were not sure that you were going to win enough seats this time. You were seriously worried that the Congress, having defeated you by quite a bit in the assembly election, would win a large number of Lok Sabha seats. Is that correct?
Yeah, almost. I think I will accept this questions. We lost the election in Karnataka because of some reasons, but reasons kept quiet. We lost the elections. We need in old Mysore, the region of southern part of the Karnataka. We are weak. I think in Asan, in Mandya, in Kolar, some 3-4 districts we are weak. This time you want to sweep out of 28, out of 28. That's why we align with JDS Mr. Devegowda.
So Dora, it's quite telling that R. Ashoka in answer to Baj says that we are really weak in the south. To admit that, and we were kind of slightly desperate. But it's also interesting that what's happened to the JDS?
I think both what to the JDS and to the BJP. The JDS has been fading away. 2 elections ago in the assembly was 20%, now it's 13%. It's not been that low for another at least 20 years. So I think since Mr. Devegowda is getting out of action, there's not much action going there. And I think the BJP, don't forget the BJP swept the south in the last Lok Sabha election. Why did they go this time with Devegowda? Because I think they felt they were on the back foot themselves and they wanted his help. Last time they let him go with the Congress, but they still won 25 seats. So I think both the BJP and the JDS knew they were on the way down and that if they were to tie up, they could get something out of it.
But last time in 2019, Baj, JDS and Congress alliance just didn't work out. Either their votes didn't match each other, the voters were against each other, or it just was both were doing so badly. Will this work this time in your psephological analysis? Deep.
No, in 2019 we also had the huge Modi wave. I mean, everybody recognizes that. And if you ask people here, is there a Ram Mandir wave? There isn't. So the BJP doesn't have the same agenda that it has in the north. They can say more about Ram Mandir there. And so what are they fighting on? It's come
Although
down.
I must say in the north also it's nothing like Pulwama was.
Correct.
So what we've been saying, Maya, is that 2019 was a Modi plus Pulwama effect. Maybe 50-50 in the huge swing. This time you don't have Pulwama. Has that did Pulwama have some effect in 2019 here as well?
I think that the South did feel a little distance from what happens in the North. We are a different entity.
So Maya, what has happened to the JDS? And it's getting worse and worse every day.
Well, firstly, I think that the Janata Dal Secular is being seen more and more as a family party. It is Devegowda, his children and his children's children. But it is in fact his grandson, Prajwal, who has put the party in a very, very difficult situation right now with horrific allegations coming out of sexual abuse. Prajwal himself has left the country. But this will certainly, I mean, apart from the horror that the women, if it is true, if the allegations are true, the horror that the women have gone through, politically as well, it is certainly not good news for the alliance. People are already questioning, the Congress is already attacking the BJP on you tied up with this person when you probably already knew about the allegations. That is the very tricky part, that the allegations had reportedly been shared with leadership in the BJP. It had been shared with others, but still they went ahead and made him a candidate. Possibly because that was a hard bargaining point made by Devegowda. You give my grandson the ticket from Hassan, then I will join you.
So how are they fighting back against this terrible scandal? How's the BJP and JDS fighting back?
The BJP is saying nothing. Kumaraswamy, former Chief Minister Devegowda's son, has distanced himself totally from his brother and his nephew. He is saying, don't drag Devegowda's name into this. They live separately, we live separately. It's as if he's kind of
so what happened to the family party suddenly?
Maybe the father, the favourite son, the Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy, former Chief Minister, and his project.
So even the family is from concentric circles, just one little circle.
It's looking as if it's, I mean, their wives, their children, but it is Kumaraswamy who has always been the son who has been ahead of his brother Revanna, for sure.
That's interesting. And moving on from that, a lot of people say that, like in many other states in this country, elections are all about caste. Politics is all about caste politics. Is that true? Just look at the castes that are crucial in this election. Caste does matter in Karnataka. The castes that support the BJP are the Lingayats, the OBCs, the upper castes, and of course their ally now, the JDS, supported strongly by the Vocaligas. The Congress is supported largely by the scheduled castes, the Adivasis, and the minorities, the Muslims. Now, where are they located and distributed across Karnataka? Three distinct regions. In the northwest, Hyderabad, Karnataka, and down the west are the Lingayats. This is a strong area for the BJP. In the south is the Vocaligas, and in the east, the whole stretch are where the SC voters predominate and strong for the Congress. But apart from caste, there is a kind of rural-urban divide, and the BJP is a much stronger urban party. If you look at their votes, BJP gets 45% of the vote in rural areas and 55% in urban areas, while the Congress is the other way around, 70% in rural areas and 30% of its vote from urban areas. And of course, the JDS is almost entirely a rural party. So when you travel across Karnataka, you'll find there are strongholds of different parties. And putting it very broadly, the BJP is very strong in Bombay, Karnataka, And in the West, the JDS, as we mentioned, is very strong in the South, and the Congress is strong in Hyderabad, Karnataka on the East, Northeast. That's the kind of broad political divide here. So when you go from one region to other, you can get a mistaken impression of who's winning this election.
Yes, though there is always a competition in every area, but there is a dominant party. I mean, while in the West you have the Vokkaligas, you still have a certain amount of Congress. Similarly, in Bombay, Karnataka, you have BJP, but you also have the Congress. So, but the dominant party is normally clear.
In addition to caste, a key factor in this election has been the Muslim community and the 4% reservation in this state for Muslims. Now, it happened maybe 25 years ago and it's been in force since then, and the Supreme Court has endorsed it, but the Prime Minister has been raising it very strongly and saying Muslim being the forefront of the Congress party. So we spoke to the Chief Minister about this 4% reservation for Muslims. They are saying that you are wanting to raise the reservation for Muslims, you are not...
No, it is totally false. Totally false. Since 30 years, there is a reservation for Muslims, 4% reservation for Muslims, since 1984. Since 1994. Why they are keeping quiet? From 2008 to 2013, they were in power. What were they doing? And in the last year, the last year of the BJP government, that is Basuraj Bommai, cancelled this 4%. The Muslim leaders went to the Supreme Court, in which Basuraj Bommai's government filed an affidavit that the status quo will be continued.
Oh, Bommai government itself.
Bommai government itself. They said before the Supreme Court, the status quo will be moved. But Narendra Modi ji, I don't know why he is lying. In order to polarize the votes, in order to set up the backward communities against the Muslims. For the backward community votes, he is making this lie.
But in Karnataka, Muslim-Hindu relationship has been good.
It is good. In Karnataka,
In most of Karnataka.
let's say,
But not
yes,
in
Karnataka, it is very good. Law and order situation is very good in Karnataka.
No, they are saying law and order is a bit of a problem here.
No, there is no problem. Law and order situation is very good. In the entire country, Karnataka maybe stands number one.
So Baj, this issue of 4% reservation, the Muslim issue, not only Karnataka, the Prime Minister suddenly started, and Amit Shah raising it very strongly right across the country after phase 1.
I think you're right that it's an old issue in Karnataka. They brought it up just before the assembly elections last year, which is when the Supreme Court intervened. They're bringing it up now because I don't think in Karnataka they have many issues, and nationally I think that has become their main issue. They're just going on about Muslim reservations and how the Congress has got a Muslim League manifesto and things like that. So I think that has become the main driving force in this election in the BJP campaign.
But as Bhatt says, Maya, that it didn't work in the assembly elections. I mean, Bommai actually tried to scrap it. The Supreme Court went against him. They tried to make it an issue, but it didn't work. Why are they raising it again now when it's failed once?
What they are trying to do here is create that divide. In coastal Karnataka, there is unfortunately friction. In the western side, there is unfortunately friction between communities, which is being fanned for political purposes. There is no doubt about that. There was a recent very tragic crime of a young man killing a young woman in a college in Karnataka. The man was Muslim, the girl was Hindu, the woman was Hindu, and the BJP has been using that as well. They've had JP Nadda, also the party chief, coming down and talking to the family, and they've raised that word, those love jihad. They're talking about that. They are trying what they can do to raise this whole, the Muslim factor. And ironically, of course, this entire reservation came in when deKoder was chief minister, their ally. It's not a recent thing.
And also this blast in that cafe.
The Rameshwaram cafe.
Yeah, which they're saying again is law and order and Muslim terrorists.
Also, I think the BJP workers often say that the constitution does not provide for religion-based reservation. But this is not a religious based reservation. This is the economic weaker section based reservation in which anybody can fall. And from what somebody said to us the other day, I think this current Raja of Mysore's grandfather, who was a social reformer, introduced that reservation probably 80 or 100 years ago. So it's not in that same category as the religious reservation. It's one of the economic weaker sections. That is how they've got this reservation.
I want to go back to what you had mentioned earlier, the 5 guarantees that this state government has given, and they're all listed here. But we also have the Modi guarantee. So it's Karnataka 5 guarantees versus Modi's guarantees. Who's copying who and who's more effective in Karnataka?
Well, you know, political parties, if they are giving promises like this, it becomes welfare of the poor. If the other party is doing it, it's freebies and sops and that kind of. I think in Karnataka, I think the Congress led the way really with those guarantees, which have gone down very well. And Prime Minister Modi has introduced his own version of promises as a fallout of that, as a reaction to that. I would think in Karnataka at least the BJP is following what the Congress did successfully. We've had Kumaraswamy saying that the free bus passes for women, which I think is fantastic because it allows women to occupy public spaces and go where they want to. Kumaraswamy had said that it's leading our women-focused trade, the rural women-focused trade. He had to apologize for that later. But I think the Congress was ahead of it, the curve in this one.
And you did mention that actually a lot of it has been implemented, and we found that's true on the field, that many women farmers were actually getting that 2,000 rupees a month. That's one of the 5 guarantees.
ಈ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಬಂದಾಗಿಂದ ಈಚಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮಂಥವ್ರಿಗೆ 2,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರ. ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೆ ಒಂದ್ಸಲ ಆದ್ರೂ ಕಾಸು ಅವರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಉಪಯೋಗ ಇರ್ತೈತಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತೆ.
And does she get the 2,000 from the government?
2,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಬರ್ತಿದೇನಮ್ಮ?
ಬರ್ತೈತೆ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ, ಬರ್ತೈತೆ.
ಎಷ್ಟು ಬರ್ತೈತಮ್ಮ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂದ?
2,000.
2,000 ಅಮ್ಮ, 2,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ. ಹೇಳಿ, ಏನಾರು ಹೇಳಂಗಿದ್ರೆ.
2,000 ಬರಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತೈತೆ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ, ಬರ್ತೈತೆ.
So as Maya says, the two parties have different views on whether this is a freebie. Mr. R. Ashok says it's free, although the BJP is also doing the same thing.
After coming the Modi in the campaign in Karnataka, the swing towards the BJP. But Congress people highlighting only state issues. They are not concentrating on national issues. They are not telling about the Prime Minister, development, anything. Only free. The 5 free is given to Karnataka state. That's why vote for Congress. That is the strategy of the Congress. But we are making the issue is the national issue. Who is your leader? My leader is Modi. What is your leader? Show me your leader. The people of Karnataka and India, we want the captain, good captain. We have a good captain. What about you? That is discussion points we are giving to the Karnataka people.
And here we ask Mr. Siddaramaiah.
People of Karnataka, what is the most important thing in this election?
Our guarantees, 5 guarantees. See, we have implemented 5 guarantees. Before the assembly election, we have promised to the people of Karnataka that 5 guarantees will be implemented. In 8 months, the Karnataka government has implemented all the 5 guarantees. It made a big impact on the people of Karnataka.
So it's Siddaramaiah 5 guarantees versus Modi ki guarantee.
There is no guarantee, Modi guarantee. Modi guarantees are empty guarantees.
One other strange indicator that's happened in this election is that the BJP has dropped a lot of its sitting MPs. In fact, 60% of its sitting MPs have not been asked to stand again. They've been dropped. Now, is it a good idea to drop sitting MPs or sitting MLAs? We looked at 25 years of, I think, over 35,000 candidates to see whether sitting MLAs do better than new MLAs or new candidates trying to be an MLA. And actually the data shows that the record of sitting candidates is better than any new candidate. The success rate, number of times sitting candidates win, is 50% of the time. while new candidates win 37%. And that's quite a significant difference. So, Dora, the fact that they've dropped 60% of their MPs, why did they do that?
I think Mr. Modi works in a different way. It's not just dropping off MPs. Look at what he did in Madhya Pradesh. He has brought in ministers from the Rajya Sabha to fight the Lok Sabha. So it's not the old thing. I was last time, drop him this time. I think there is a plan behind it. Karnataka, he sees the problem. So he's got 2-3 guys from the center. He's got 2 ex-chief ministers. I mean, it's really a high-powered lot because he needs to win those, to get to 370. He needs to win those seats. I think it's a planned move. I don't think it's a regular move of a regular party.
But he did this in Delhi as well. I mean,
yes,
they dropped 6 of the 7 MPs because they thought they needed stronger people now to fight these elections, and they've done it in Rajasthan also. So I think there is a plan, like he says, behind this. But there's also the thing that what Congress accuses the BJP MPs of, that they didn't do anything, either at the center going and trying to help the state, or being visible in the field here, and so that people could approach them to solve their problems.
Right. Is that a part? Is it that the fears there's anti-incumbency against all the MPs, so better change them and say, somebody new is going to come, because people haven't seen the MPs in the 5 years? Or is it more than that, that it's people wanting their own people there now?
It's possibly because last time the BJP won 25 out of 28.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to do that again.
Yeah.
So there are certain seats where they know that their chances of losing are high. So may as well try a new face. And also because, as Baj was saying, the issues of Karnataka were not raised. I mean, that's a common phrase of the Congress here. You have 25 MPs in the centre. Why aren't you talking about Kaveri, water, drought relief, taxation? Why aren't you raising these issues when there are so many BJP MPs in the centre?
Again, that issue of BJP MPs not being MPs for Kannadigas. They're just being like part of the central Delhi party.
Yes, yes. The BJP is seen largely as a North Indian Hindu Hindi party. Right. In many places. The rest of the south, of course, Karnataka may be less so. But that is also the thing, that they are Modi's MPs. They may not be Karnataka's MPs, is what the Congress is also trying to do.
So again, that underlying move of subnationalism or federalism, which is part of our constitution, is very strong here, like it has been in many southern states and actually in other states as well, like in Bengal.
Yes, Karnataka is very unusual in the sense, like for example, the city of Bengaluru. Minority population is actually Kannadiga, which is maybe about 30% of the population is Kannadiga, which is a very unusual thing. But it is definitely a thing which is rising. We've had, of course, laws. There are laws in place, so you have to have a Kannada signboard. But it's also, I think, the people feeling a little bit they're not getting what the state is giving. They're not getting their fair share of what the state is giving. That is a rising phenomenon right now.
So this BJP MPs being seen as part of the centre, part of the north of this country, and sort of in the centre-state relation on the wrong side of the voters here.
They said nothing about the Karnataka issues at all.
They said nothing about Karnataka in Parliament. And Baj actually asked R. Ashok what he felt about this.
People say Karnataka pays the second highest amount of tax to the central government. You were revenue minister, you know that. But you get about the 10th highest return from the center, right? So you are funding all the northern states. Does that bother you at all, that Karnataka doesn't get enough money back from the amount of money it gives?
A very good question, I think. So, the Congress people in Karnataka, they're asking our tax money to Karnataka state. That is the slogan they are given in the election also. Same thing happens to Bangalore. In Karnataka state, 65% of the revenue from Bangalore only. If Bangalore people ask, हमारा मनी हमारा स्टेट हमारा डिस्ट्रिक्ट को आना, क्या होता है? सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का फॉरेन पॉलिसी है, मिलिट्री है, एयरफोर्स है, एयरपोर्ट्स, पोर्ट, they have to look after that, na? Every means our constitution of Ambedkar on divided on the members, citizens, not area. Naturally, Uttar Pradesh more people is there, Bihar more people is there. Naturally, the fund will go to now, not now. From last 50 years, it is going Uttar Pradesh, Bihar.
So anyway, what's the bottom line? Who's winning this election? What do the polls say? What do the other indicators say? To summarize it, it's something like this. Remember the total of 28 seats in Karnataka. Poll of polls, of opinion polls, are saying the NDA is going to get 22 and India or the Congress is going to get 6, 22 to 6. And by and large, we've seen over the years, opinion polls, 70% seem to be right. Although recently in Chhattisgarh, all 100% were wrong. They all forecast the Congress would win and in fact the BJP won. So everything, like whatever Dorab says, you must take with a pinch of salt. But if you looked at the other forecaster, assembly elections as predictors, as we discussed earlier, that's pointing towards the NDA getting 12 seats and the Congress or India getting 16 seats. So it's a big difference between pollsters and on-ground assembly election voters. Bottom line, who do you believe? Take an average?
I think no, but we've gone through parts of Karnataka, we've spoken to people, it certainly doesn't look like the average of opinion polls is more reliable. I think there is this 5 guarantees has raised a groundswell of opinion, and also it's fairly new, it's not that I've had it for 5 years. After 2 years I'll say, so what? It's new. So everybody's getting it and I think it's going to favor
That's a very
India.
good point.
If you talk to people, they say it's a much tighter fight, much closer fight. So I think whether it's going to go one way or the other is in our favorite way, all depends, but it's going to be a much
You
tighter...
mean anything could happen?
Not anything. I think they'll be much closer than it was in last time, and probably not such a wide gap as the opinion polls would suggest.
And then what do you feel, in which way is the kind of wind blowing, and what is the key thing that's motivating? One important factor which you mentioned earlier and Dorab actually emphasized just now, this 5 guarantees. Is that key? And from the BJP point of view, what's key for them?
I think that the BJP will get less than they have, but I still feel that they may do better in terms of numbers.
Better
than the Congress in
Okay.
terms of numbers of seats, but they will lose out on what they had. The Congress is, I think, their main theme is the state's needs. The Prime Minister Modi at the centre and the BJP at the centre doesn't really care about Kannadigas. That's what they're pushing, whether it comes to drought, taxation, different, the employment of local people in industries here. That is what they're pushing. I think the BJP is really going with the Modi factor, the appeal of the Prime Minister. They're trying to talk about the image of India abroad, how it's playing a larger role, how it's definitely increased in the consciousness of the international community.
Right.
I think they're playing a lot on Prime Minister Modi.
Right, yeah. We did find that this image of India abroad, and that's not something that really affects individuals personally, but it does seem to matter. It's very interesting.
May matter to the startup kings here in Bengaluru.
Yes, that way it does matter, correct, yeah. Well, that's it for Countdown Karnataka. We leave you with actually one of the most impressive, heartwarming and encouraging interactions between students at the National Law School here in Bangalore. Just listen in to these youngsters and you feel proud of the youth of our country.
I think sometimes it's an overwhelming onus to take on ourselves considering the current scenario that exists, and my opinions are a lot more bleak, are a lot more negative, because one question that I keep struggling with is that if in the last decade, if the shift has been towards majoritarianism, towards authoritarianism and cutting down dissent, then what would it look like in another 5 years? What would it look like in another 10 years? Because it's going to become worse. Like, a party that wants to stay in power will do anything that they can to continue staying in power. And that would mean cutting down on opposition. So when I think about what my future would look like, what would India's future look like, I feel scared.
One common thing that arises is not just a political question, it's a very legal question. So obviously think about media as a fourth pillar, but all these investigative agencies that we speak of, like the Enforcement Directorate, the CBI, all of these belong to something known as a fourth branch. So these are agencies which are supposed to carry investigative regulatory functions. They're supposed to be a neutral check. They're called guarantor institutions. They're supposed to guarantee certain checks and balances. However, their role in India
has been a highly questionable one. It's something that's actively being reflected on. For example, what happened with Arvind Kejriwal is a good example of this. So that is something that's very essential for the confidence of a democracy.
I remember during the 2021 elections in West Bengal, there was a term, we need to choose between the evil and the lesser evil. So we really don't have a savior of that sort. The questions around elections are all about Ram Mandir, all about which side, Hindu, Muslim. It's not about development. If one party is saying that we are going to give 500 rupees to your bank account, another party is saying that we are going to give 1,000 rupees to your bank account in a month. And the entire narrative around elections, who can give what to which interest group, and not about the overall development of the country or the infrastructural development of the country. All that matters is what am I getting from the elections and not the overall development of the country.
The freedom of speech of media houses should not be curbed. The way laws are applied should be in a way that media houses have the freedom of speech to bring out the certain critical information. Like if it is said the fourth pillar of democracy, they play a crucial role. And if in any matter they are not given certain freedom to bring out the critical issues, especially at the time of, let's say, elections, it is going to be against the democracy.
Gautam Bhatia, who is a constitutional law scholar, has coined the term judicial escapism. So the reference is guaranteed institutions or any institution which has the responsibility of ensuring accountability, ensuring checks and balances, are escaping from the job. You see many of these institutions who refuse to take any action, saying that this is not their job, this is not the mandate. And this escapism has been actually increasing over the past decade. So I would say this escapism from these institutions who are supposed to guarantee our freedom or supposed to guarantee our rights will lead to a loss of our rights, because then you allow one particular institution, there is a legislature or perhaps the executive, to do and decide as they want, and there is no one putting a check on them, putting some accountability mechanisms on that. And I think we are losing a lot because of the escapism shown by these institutions.
I also wanted to say something on that line, that how the public discourse is formed nowadays, the topics on which it is formed, about religion, about caste, or about certain things which are not really relevant for local people, for my country's growth or for my local area's growth. We don't ask how many kilometers of roads have been built in my locality, rather than what has been built in some place, what temple has been built. So the way the public discourse has been formed is a problem. And about my future, I wanted to go into judiciary, and the first thing I think about is what sort of political pressure will I have on myself when I will be in that position and when I will be deciding cases. So that's really worrying, because we have inculcated that mindset.
I came across this concept called the chilling effect, where when you see greater state intervention in what people can say and cannot say, you see people regulating themselves because they're so afraid of the state reaction. So I think with media houses in particular, that is definitely something that comes into play, because a media house now has to be careful where it sends its journalists to, lest they end up in jail. They have to be careful what they say, lest they catch a defamation case or another legal notice. And another point I'd like to highlight in India particularly is how it's not about the law itself, it's about the process. What does this mean? So this means that we're not talking about what is punishable by law. We're talking about the process that makes this punishment feasible or viable. And this process itself acts in a punishment of its own. Now, what does this do? This creates a kind of a block in the minds of citizens, and particularly media houses, because now they cannot and will not explore the fields that they used to or want to or should, simply because the stress, the anxiety that they'll take of possibly going to jail, of being at loggerheads with a very powerful institution, is not worth it. So when you have conditions like these, it's hard to expect media to be free.